Grace and peace to you from God our Creator and from Jesus, who is our Christ. Amen. On the move. How fitting that Pastor Sharon asked me to give the reflection to you at Spirit of Joy this week about journeys when so many things are in flux. As you hear these words Sunday, I bring you greetings from Chesterfield, Missouri, where Mike and I have landed for the next year as I begin my final year of seminary as an intern pastor, a vicar at Trinity Lutheran Church. I also bring you greetings from my seminary community, the Lutheran School of Theology at Chicago, which just completed its move after 55 years on Hyde Park's East 55th Street to co-locate with Catholic Theological Union near Chicago's lakefront. So much change, so many endings and new beginnings. So just when you think you're set and settled in, don't be surprised if God has other plans. I'm sure Abram and Sarai could relate to that. A child-free couple in their 70s, living on the land, accompanied by their nephews, servants, and all the livestock they could handle. I'm sure that they expected to live out their days that way. Then God approached Abram with a call, the call. You, Abram and Sarai, you, childless ones, you with no particular claim to fame, you will now be called Abraham and Sarah. I have chosen you to be the beginning of an entire chosen people. Go to the land that I will show you. Go out to a new and unknown place. Following a call requires a lot of trust. In 2016, I was working as a vocational specialist at West Yavapai Guidance Clinic, helping people with mental illnesses find jobs. Not an easy task. It often takes a couple of tries before these clients find the right fit. I was no one special. Our son Michael had moved to Portland, Oregon, and we were empty nesters. I expected to work there until I retired, perhaps in another 10 or 12 years. But God had other plans. A year later, I was submitting my candidacy paperwork to the Grand Canyon Synod, starting the process to become an ordained pastor. Last year, we sold our home in Prescott Valley and moved to Chicago. And this spring, we prayed for God to prepare the place where we would go for internship and begin preparing the place that would be my first call a year later. And as God called Abraham and Sarah, God is still calling old and young people to go to the land that I will show you. You do realize that some churches have existed 50 or even 100 years and have never had anyone experience a call to rostered ministry. While Mike and I are members of Emmanuel Lutheran across the hill, the experience of chartering Spirit of Joy was just another milepost on my way to recognizing my call. Along with Pastor Bruce Laram, Spirit of Joy has been instrumental in the calling of 2 pastors so far. 2! There is something special happening here. The Spirit is at work giving people a vocation, a direction, a call. And God is not just calling ordained pastors. Each one of you, God has gathered you here, is preparing you, and is sending you out to serve. Gather, prepare, serve. GPS, the original GPS. Do you listen for God's direction in your life? Many years ago, my brother was stuck. He and his family were faithful worshipers, active in Bible study. He had opened a business, but it wasn't lucrative enough to support his family. He didn't know what God had in mind for him next. And that was a conversation he had with some men from his congregation. What am I to do next? I feel like I'm drifting. I'm waiting for direction from God and I'm not hearing anything. One of these men told my brother, God can't steer a parked car. God can use whatever you do for good. God can even direct your steps as you go. Just keep moving. I think the psalmist understood that thought. Listen to these words from Psalm 139 again. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways. And then the psalmist continues, if I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me and your right hand shall hold me fast. If we are walking with God, those steps are being directed. God knows what we are thinking, the roads we are traveling, what we are doing. No matter the path we take, God's hand is guiding us. In my own life, even the roads that look like dead ends to me at the time, or were difficult or painful episodes. In retrospect, were occasions that I learned something I needed for the future. In the short passage that we heard from Mark's Gospel, Jesus gives Simon and his colleagues a training in a handful of words. In just 5 verses, Jesus guides his followers in the rhythm of living as disciples. First, he goes off to pray. We should begin our days and our work in prayer. It's important. Second, the disciples searched for him. We need to actively discern what Jesus is calling us to do. And third, they went off into the neighboring towns where Jesus proclaimed the message and healed. We need to get outside of our walls and serve in whatever ways we determine we are being called to act. Take heart, spirit of joy. God is with you as you journey, as you seek to determine how God is calling you to do ministry here at this place and throughout the entire Verde Valley. God's Spirit is up to something in the people gathered, prepared, and serving here. Stay in prayer, seek out Christ's purpose, and get out into the community to serve out that purpose. I am praying that God, who began a good work in you and in this place, will grow and perfect it in the years ahead until I can be with you again, and Mike as well. Trust in God's call and keep moving ahead. Amen.